Hey there, Kenneth French of Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. We're very, very happy you stopped by. Either you're going to watch this or listen to this because you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably an entrepreneur who's either just starting out or you've been around for quite a while and you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably a real estate investor, maybe even a real estate agent, maybe a professional or of some sort, professional advisor of some sort. And well, you are stopping by because you need some valuable advice from one of the top industry leaders there is. Anyway, thank you very much. Once again, Kenneth French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Really glad you stopped by.
AI is changing. Hey there, Kenneth French, vastsolutionsgroup.com. We've been doing artificial intelligence really since 2018, even before that, but our model was invented in 2018. So we know a thing or two about artificial intelligence, mainly for the small business owner. I'm neutral. I don't care what large language model you use or what company you use. I don't even care if you use ours. But we're going to talk a little bit about AI4, which was a conference that just happened in Vegas, talking about some of the new things that are going to be on the horizon as far as artificial intelligence. Thanks for joining us. You're going to like this. We're going to spend just a little bit of time giving a review. Hopefully this will help you to understand a little bit more about artificial intelligence and where it's going. By the way, I often say, if you're really going to push yourself in business, do three things relative to artificial intelligence. Number one, spend an hour a day on artificial intelligence. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's a smart thing to do if you want to propel yourself forward. If you don't know AI now, well, you're going to be a thing of the past. It's really going to propel your business. Our market, small business owners, entrepreneurs, really real estate investors, usually people who are trying to lower their tax liability and also make a little bit of money here and there. And then number two, sponsor a monthly meetup, an artificial intelligence oriented meetup. If it's in your industry, great. If it's just surrounding, the people in your block, your apartment building, do a meetup, actually in physical meetup. And then finally, number three, go to a big annual conference per year with respect to AI. Before AI gets to be the big thing that everyone's, it's hit scale, et cetera, you be the person who's going to a conference all the time. And AI4 was a conference that was had down in Las Vegas. I'm going to provide some information about some of the top things that were had there just recently. So number one, let's talk about, by the way, how do we know that AI4 is really the conference? There's a whole bunch of new AI conferences, mainly some of which are being put on by gurus of artificial intelligence who just started getting involved in artificial intelligence just a couple of weeks ago, but now they're gurus. Well, AI4 is the closest thing to the real thing in that it has some guru-ish. It has some people in business, Nordstrom as an example. A lot of the big firms that are actually, or big companies, retail companies that are actually kind of adopting AI, they were there presenting or also in attendance. And finally, George Hinton was there, by the way, which he's really the godfather of artificial intelligence. Andrew Yang was there, Cedric the Entertainer. Anyway, so this is a conference of note when we're talking about artificial intelligence. So let's talk about a couple of things. Number one, ethics. More and more people are now talking about the ethics because there's some issues with artificial intelligence, as you probably know. And I won't even go in the list. That would be far too long of a list for me to go over here. But number one, the ethics that are involved is what's going to happen with artificial intelligence going forward. Because there's, in many cases, there's kind of the black box. People aren't letting people know, even vendors know, or even users know, where the information is being sourced to feed the AI model. Again, if it's LLM or large language model, number one. But number two, some are open box. I would say open the box. There are a couple of vendors out there, but largely, the box is closed. No one wants to let the users know or the public know what's in the box, except for, well, you prompt. You throw in a prompt and you get out some output from the LLM or the large language model. I'll just say LLM going forward. Number one, but number two, also a big theme as far as ethics are people using it in the right way. People are now putting wrappers around AI models and saying it's their own black box, if you will. In some cases, some people are calling them to task and saying, well, that's not a good idea because you're just white labeling something and using a box that you don't even know about. So that's a theme that you're going to hear more and more about relative to artificial intelligence. The ethics of artificial intelligence. Also, I think something worth noting is, well, what's on the horizon as far as the applications for artificial intelligence? More and more people are understanding that to use artificial intelligence by itself isn't enough. Put in a prompt, it gives you information. It's a predictive measure. Truly, that's really what an LLM is. It's a predictive measure of what should be coming out next, and it just continues to predict, and outline more and more new stuff that's come in from your prompts. Now, going forward, there's talk of agents. Instead of predicting and an output that's a result of your input, it's going to be able to do things for you, really automate. For business owner, for our people who are going to be watching and listening to this, they're going to be business owners who want to use artificial intelligence to do automations, to pull, let's just say, pull the output from the LLM and then at the same time bridge it, so then the information is doing something for you, so there's little interaction needed by you, the business owner, and ultimately the customer. That's going to be the big theme going forward. Really big theme going forward. Also, it's worth noting, another big element that's worth noting, some of the changes that are going to be coming forth would be the fact that there's going to be it's going to be so much cheaper going forward. I'll just say a huge discount. Everything's going to be so much cheaper as it relates to LLMs. So what does that mean? Theoretically, there's going to be less and less LLM companies out there, like, as an example, Gemini, which is Google, ChatGPT, OpenAI, AWS, X. There's a whole list. Because the number, it's getting so much cheaper, meaning these LLMs are being cheaper. They're pricing some people out of the market, as a matter of fact. Now, that sounds crazy, but that is the case, because now you're going to have to because the context windows, prompt windows, are going to be so big that it's going to be really hard for a small player to come in and compete, even though LLM costs are going down precipitously. Actually, it's even more and more difficult as a result of that. So now, also a theme that came out of it, out of the conference at A4 down in Las Vegas, and this is worth noting: multimodal. Now, obviously, you're hearing about the fact that for LLMs, they're allowing, or not really allowing, but you can have text, right? And now what's going to be happening is you can have more windows. Pictures or images that are going to come from LLMs, and then more to the fact, it's going to be replicating movies. So there's going to be more and more movies and moving videos that are going to come out. So it's not only going to be word, text. It's also, therefore, after that, it's going to be images, and then they're going to be moving modalities, as they call them down there. So those are just three things, and we aren't even we're still at the little baby stage of artificial intelligence. So just think what's going to happen way down the road, and let's just say in a year, 2 years, we're going to be, it's going to be so much farther than it is. Example, I had a friend who was complaining about artificial intelligence. He was all upset with artificial intelligence, that it wasn't doing what he wanted it to do. Well, by the way, what was life like before artificial intelligence? That's a whole nother issue. But what I said to him was, well, yeah, think of what it's going to be like tomorrow, the next day, because it's changing on a weekly basis. Now, those are just a few of the common themes, or some of the themes that came out of AI4. Now, another thing that's worth noting, it's really worth noting, is the fact that some of the old school industries are now adopting artificial intelligence. Now, I'll throw out a couple that are basically shocking. Insurance. It seems as though insurance companies, which have traditionally been very slow to adopt any technology, they're still doing paper applications in some cases. They're even starting to adopt artificial intelligence, and some of the big ones, by the way. Some of the big banks are now adopting. JP Morgan, there's a great example. They're now adopting artificial intelligence. They're coming out with their own agents that are going to be utilized for back office. And then also, believe it or not, commercial real estate. Obviously, I'm sure you probably know if you're listening to us or watching us that we came out with technology that helped the tax world because of artificial intelligence. And we're slowly doing the same thing for commercial property loan origination, meaning we're using our artificial intelligence model called Einstein to help commercial property loan originators. And that's pushing the envelope. So now, I guess what I'm saying is not only are we, but some of the other big vendors are in the commercial property loan origination space or finance space are now adopting artificial intelligence. So what does that mean? We are getting closer and closer to scale. Now think about that. Some of the big companies are going to finally be bringing in artificial intelligence, whereas they haven't done that in the past. And it's looking like that's going to be the case going forward, that they're adopting artificial intelligence. So what does that tell you as a small business owner? This is a theme that I like to talk about here on our shows, is the fact that if you're truly not going to take on artificial intelligence as a project in any way, you're going to be left in the dark. Some of the big companies are doing artificial intelligence. And again, now that we're out there talking about something as surprising as ethics as it relates to artificial intelligence, these are some things to be thinking about as a business owner, because again, most of the people who are listening, watching this are business owners, and they're impacted by artificial intelligence in a big way. So hopefully you know a little bit more about the themes that we're talking about at the AI4 conference, which is a big conference, as I mentioned, George Hinton, some of the big players in artificial intelligence in academics, and then also in retail world are now starting to show up at some of those conferences. They're starting to talk at some of those conferences, and they're starting to show up at some of those conferences, again, indicating that we are coming close to hitting scale as far as artificial intelligence goes. Once again, Ken or French, thanks a lot for taking the time to listen, watch this. Hopefully it's exactly what you wanted. And if it was, by the way, I should be mentioning my book. Sometimes we give my books away. Basically, by the way, it's called The Entrepreneur's Manifesto, a collection of smart financial advice. It's basically a bunch of articles that I've written over the years. I was a contributor for small business contributor for Forbes.com. And basically what I wanted to do is put together a bunch of articles, not all my articles, but a bunch of articles that I'd written that basically could help a business owner. I put together a little manuscript, 100 and something pages, I don't know how many pages, 158 pages that outlines some ideas for entrepreneurs that can help one, potentially lower taxes, also keep money in your pocket, or increase your net worth, and also put a moat around your business as far as asset protection, et cetera, et cetera. Well, once again, Ken or French, thank you very much for taking the time. If you need anything, to get this book, by the way, if you want a copy of this book, email us at info@vastsolutionsgroup.com, info@vastsolutionsgroup.com. We'll send you a copy of the book. You'll be glad you got it. Thanks, everybody.